Welcome back to the continuing adventures of the monad. We ended the last presentation by looking at the need for the disciple to control their consciousness. They are continually bombarded with elementals flying into their emotional and mental envelopes. This is part of groupthink, and it ensnares most people today. The second axis of attack is the disciple's subconscious. These upwellings of emotions should be viewed with detachment and not given any attention. They eventually recede and disperse from an envelope that does not nourish them. Therefore, constant discrimination between the self and its envelopes is an effective way for the monad to dissociate themselves from the worlds contained within their envelopes. In the causal world, the monad is free from the influences of their physical, emotional, and mental envelopes. These lower envelopes are discarded anyway at the end of each incarnation. If the self allows itself to be held captive in these lower worlds, it will need to reincarnate back into them rather than living in the causal world. The three lower worlds, the first triad, are known as the worlds of appearance. Why? Because the self sees effects and does not know their causes. In the causal world, the monad sees the causes of these effects. This is the knowledge of reality. The meaning of life is now laid bare. The disciple can see now the path that all are walking. It realizes that the goal along the path is the same for all. What the disciple can now see is that by holding to the concepts of unity and acting on them, the quickest path to achieve that goal is within living sight. Introspection about one's motives is a productive exercise, leading eventually to a spontaneous and automatic understanding of them. Lawrence tells us that all consciousness expressions have an energy aspect. This is the essential aspect that allows you to gain knowledge of reality, life, and the law of life. Now, let us turn our attention to 12 essential qualities. Ever heard of Hercules and his 12 labors? They were an allegory of the 12 qualities a disciple had to master before the I-3 was taken. Consider the allegory that only a titan could become a demigod and gain entrance to the fifth kingdom of nature. There are a number of qualities a monad must display to consider themselves fully human, rather than what they are today, an animal-human hybrid. To aspire to discipleship, the aspirant must have achieved at least 50% of these qualities. The aspirant must achieve these qualities without thinking of themselves as geniuses and feeding their self-importance. Lawrence gives us a summary of some of these qualities that lead to the 12 essential ones. Trust in self and trust in life. Have courage in physical as well as emotional and mental respects. The disciple must be able to stand alone against the world. Learn the relevant laws of nature and life and apply them correctly. Uprightness, sincerity, self-criticism. This has already been discussed. Self-forgetfulness, forget your envelopes. Humility, seeing your limitations and insufficiencies. Invulnerability, being able to suffer slings and arrows. Unconcerned for yourself and your well-being. Independence from other people's opinions of you. A disciple has to develop the ability to be indifferent to whatever happens within their emotional and mental envelopes. The disciple witnesses them, but is not influenced by them. A disciple must be loyal, remaining reliable and faithful. We have already discussed the importance of paying attention to our thoughts. When it comes to being silent, it is more than just gossiping and babbling. It is realizing there are some things you must not even think about. Your mental envelope is a radio transmitter on its own plane. it is important always to be happy in order not to be a burden on your environment. Consider this. If you are unhappy, you are focused on yourself. What are we trying to achieve? Spend your time wisely. Aspirants don't loaf around. Practicing harmlessness in thoughts, emotions, words, and deeds is not easy to achieve, but try. Of course, there's the will to unity. It is also important to show admiration, affection, and sympathy. You are unlikely to be blind to the faults of others, but try to always consider the possibility of the good in people. Lawrence tells us to love loneliness as there can be no loneliness in the collective consciousness. He suggests that if you are lonely, you have not forgotten yourself yet. Now, let's look directly at the abilities that need to be acquired by the disciple. In service, what exactly is the disciple trying to do? They are trying to use energy, swimming in a sea of energy, to further evolution. To do this, they must understand the different departmental energies as they apply to their chakras in each of their envelopes. To achieve all of this, the disciple experiences a series of revelations. This is not a conversation with God transcendent, but a realization of God immanent, their guardian angel in reality. Chakras are important in that they link the various envelopes together. Mastering this connection is important to allow energies to flow down efficiently. Once this is done, the next step is to connect the triad envelope to the causal envelope. This is the famous rainbow bridge. This results in drawing energies down into the etheric envelope, and this affects the brain. Disciples are warned not to work on the etheric chakras themselves. Some try this to facilitate clairvoyance. This is the wrong approach. The practitioner thinks they can contact causal energies. They cannot. You should not vitalize your chakras with synthetic triadic energy from within the persona. This counteracts energies flowing down from the causal envelope, situated on the second triad. This causes a blockage that can take several incarnations to clear. This is a mistake yogis make. They try energizing their chakras themselves, but only end up in the emotional world, a world of illusions. The yogi may even attain the stage of the saint, 48-2. Without the aid of his guardian angel, he will never gain access to his causal envelope. Knowledge of reality lies with the guardian angel, and this is only attained through gaining causal consciousness. When a monad discards its physical organism at the end of an incarnation, they spend on average about 25 years in the emotional world. If they are focused in their mental permanent molecule, 47-4, at this time, they can be shown how to dismantle their emotional envelope and spend no time in that world. Being focused where they are, the monad has objective consciousness on subplanes 47-5 and below. This allows them to move around freely and help other monads. This occurs in the consciousness of their mental envelopes. They can also help others with their mental problems in their emotional and physical envelopes. Lawrence calls these helpers mental angels. I wonder if this is what people refer to when they are talking about spirit guides. Coming back to the monad, while it is still incarnated, to function effectively as a disciple, being focused in the mental permanent molecule 47-4 is a requirement. This is the jumping off point to causal consciousness. When this level is achieved, continuity of consciousness ensures that the monad's sleep time is not only extremely productive, but also allows the monad to remember its activities when they return to their physical envelope. This is not the same as remembering your dreams. Prior to obtaining continuity of consciousness, the disciple does move into their causal envelope at night, there meeting their teachers and receiving training. The problem at this time is that what they learn remains in their superconsciousness. This is not a wasted effort, though. This information will eventually be retrieved when the monad can move from the first triad envelopes to their higher causal envelope, and remember this activity in their waking consciousness. In the next presentation, we look at the self-determination a disciple must exhibit and their role as workers in the further development of human consciousness. Thank you.